everybody, I'm Jesse, and welcome to another edition of Gen X Thinks. And today I'm going to talk about Sharia law and what it is, because I just found out recently, like days ago, what it was, because I've heard about it, and I've seen those videos of people on college campuses and in the streets in the United States screaming for Sharia law. And I've heard the term before in the past, but I never really understood what it was. But with everything that's going on in the world today, I figured I'd actually look into it and see what it was and do a video on it, so then we'll all know. But before I get into that, I'd like to point out that someone in the comments, and I forget your name, and I apologize for that. I see so many comments. But somebody pointed out that Elon Musk has changed his position on the whole carbon tax thing, that he doesn't support that anymore. So the video that I watched of him saying that was most likely old. And I just wanted to say that everybody's entitled to change their minds, and I don't hold everybody's feet to the fire for some shit they said 5 years ago. That's just stupid. And I don't want to mislead people and put out, lies. I'm trying to tell everyone the truth and stick to that. So that's the truth. Elon Musk has said more recently that he doesn't support the carbon tax anymore, that the whole thing is bullshit. And I knew that about the whole, and I'm being slow here, trying to choose my words so this video doesn't get banned, because I'm not allowed to talk about the weather on YouTube and their views on the weather and their views on what the weather is going to be in the future. I'm not allowed to talk about that on YouTube. So if I seem hesitant and stuff, I'm trying to pick my words carefully so I don't get, this video doesn't get yanked from YouTube. Because all I have to do is say one wrong word and the AI will catch it and this video will get yanked. It's strictly against their policy to talk about that. So, yeah, it seems like Elon Musk has changed his mind about that, and everyone's entitled to. We all know the term red-pilled. If he's been red-pilled and he's waking up to this stuff, that's great. So I just wanted to make that point before I got into the whole Sharia law thing, just to clear that up. I don't want to be putting out false information for people. So, Sharia law. What is it? What does it mean? What is all this stuff we hear about it? Why are people chanting it on the streets of America? All this kind of stuff. So first off, my entire life, even back in the 90s and stuff, I've seen these images and videos of these Westerners on their knees in the desert, and people with masks on or whatever, Muslims standing over them with swords about to behead them, or in the middle of beheading them or whatever. And I always thought it was that the Muslims were terrorists, they're a different faction, and that the Westerners were reporters or something, and they just got caught up over there trying to investigate some stuff or something, and the terrorists caught them and the terrorists were killing them. That's what I always assumed when I would see these videos and these images and stuff. But after I looked into Sharia law, that's just not true. That's their law being carried out. That's a penalty. They just hack people's heads off out there, and that's just the way it is. That's a way of life over there, and a lot of people don't understand that. And a very significant point is that whole Islamic way of thought, the whole way everything is over there, is that there's no separation of church and state like we have here. That doesn't exist. Their church laws are their state laws. That's the law of the land on both sides. It's just the same. So it's like, the Christian 10 Commandments, if that was law, right? So, and all this biblical stuff, if we put all those laws in the Bible into the state and made them actual laws, punishable laws, like thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. That's in the Bible. Now, if we put that and made that legal, that would be crazy. But it's crazy over there. That's how they live over there. All right. One of the laws is, in the Sharia law, is that homosexuality is punishable by death. You're beheaded. If you're gay or trans or whatever, you're beheaded. And you have to have a certain number, each law is different, but you have to have a certain number of male Muslim witnesses in your defense to be proven innocent of any charge. So if you don't have that, you're guilty. And they have to be Muslim and they have to be male, and you can't, if you don't have that, you're just guilty. You can bring up a charge against anyone. If they don't have the witnesses, they're done. So, and that really blows my mind that we have Westerners in Western civilization, Australia, England, Canada, United States, who are homosexual or transgender, and they're shouting for this Sharia law. They stand with Palestine and shit. They are literally asking for death. That's what they're doing. If they are supporting this stuff, they are supporting the people who want to kill them. Outright, flat, there's no debate, there's no argument. These people want them dead. If they got their way, the people they're supporting would chop off their heads. Just point blank. They're doing it over there. They do it every day. It's not a big thing to them. We look at that stuff. That's one thing. We project. We think that they're civilized and all this stuff, and they're just peace-loving. And in their view, they are. They just want to get along. So they chop off the heads of homosexuals. That's just normal to them. That's every day. They're over there looking at us like just how horrifying it is that our women are running around the streets with their heads uncovered. That's just unimaginable to them. That's horrifying. How can we allow that? Just like we think about how can they allow people to chop people's heads off for just choosing a way of life, not harming anyone. But that's the cultural divide. They grow up in that. It's ingrained in their atoms. You know what I'm saying? Then they come over here, and that's another rule of Sharia law, is that they're required to lie to non-Muslims to spread Islam, in order to spread Islam. So they are required to lie to us in order to spread their faith. So when you hear this shit about them, oh, we don't chop people's heads off or whatever, they're lying. It's point blank, it's in the Sharia law. You lie to them in order to spread the faith. Period. It's not you're allowed to lie to them. It's not, it's okay, it's overlooked. No, you're required to. They are required to lie in order to spread the Islamic faith. So when you hear any of them talking to Westerners about Islam, they're required to lie by their own law. And I keep seeing this video on X where this woman it's a Muslim woman, a professor over there of some kind, and she's defending the Muslim men's rights to rape non-Muslim women and children. It's perfectly fine. There's no age discrimination there. They do not discriminate. That's another one of the Sharia rules in the Sharia law, is that Muslim men are there. It's perfectly okay for them to rape non-Muslim women. Okay, so, and that is just ghastly and abhorrent to us. To especially, I mean, there's no difference. Raping a full-grown woman and raping a small child is just abhorrent either way, but still, for some reason, we all know it, that raping a child is somehow worse. But they have no distinction there. They have no distinction there. And I know even most mothers would rather take that upon themselves than see their child go through that, right? So we know that there's a difference. There's a distinction, an obvious one. They do not. Sharia law makes no distinction. And it's a big thing on X right now, and Elon Musk is spreading the word about this, about over there in the UK, that, like, I don't know, the timeline in the last 5 or 10 years, over 1 million small girls, young girls, underage girls have been raped by these Palestinian guys. And the authorities, the police, the politicians, none of them will do anything about it because they don't want to be called racist. All right? So they're afraid of being called, they're allowing these children to be raped, and it is an epidemic over there. It's not like this once-off thing. It's a literal epidemic. I cannot believe that this is happening. It's unbelievable. Literally. It's literally like something out of a fictional horror film or something. But these kids are over there getting raped by, just, the numbers are astounding. And nobody's doing anything about it. Until now. Hopefully now something will change, because someone with a big name like Elon Musk found out about it and is raising awareness about it. Now, from what I understand, the thing that the incident that provoked the whole outburst over the whole thing was that a couple of girls got raped. They were 2 different girls and 2 different fathers and 2 different incidents, but the fathers both went to track the people down that raped their daughter. These Palestinian guys found where they were and called the police. The police showed up at both separate instances and arrested the father and left the rapists alone. The father didn't shoot the dudes. He didn't go in and burn the house down, nothing like that. He just called the police. The police showed up and arrested the father. And these 2 stories are what blew the whole thing up, from what I understand. But it's an epidemic over there. It's insane, and it's coming this way. All right? And this is right in line with all this immigration shit. These people, they know this is going on. Our politicians, our billionaires, they know this pedophilia shit is going on. They know all this stuff is going on. And not only are they ignoring it, they're aiding it with these immigration laws. They're allowing these people to come over here just across the border with no restrictions, no anything, and just start doing this stuff and spreading this. It's evil. You cannot rape a child and say it's anything but evil. It's evil. This is an evil culture. And these aren't these radical terrorists like I've thought my whole life, doing this evil shit. I've always thought, my whole life, I thought it was the radical terrorists that were evil like that. No, it's just the normal people over there. These people are just immigrating over here and they think that it's okay. Because their Sharia law, they've grown up with it, they think it's fine. And I saw another video of a dude, he just it's a Palestinian or whatever. He grabs a girl. I think it was in England or somewhere, a Western country. He grabs a girl right on the street, right in the broad daylight. He just grabs her by the arm and starts dragging her off. She starts screaming. Okay? She starts screaming. Well, a couple of bystanders there, they run over and they separate the two. And the girl's, telling him, he just grabbed me. I don't know this guy. So then a cop shows up. They start arresting the dude, cuffing him. And he's just flabbergasted. He does not understand. He truly does not understand what the big deal is, why they are getting all worked up. He kept saying, it's my right. I'm Muslim. This is my right. Why are you doing this to me? He literally thought that he was just behaving normally by grabbing a little girl off the street and dragging her back to his house or back to wherever he was going to take her. He thought that that was a perfectly normal thing to do, to grab someone else's child and just abduct them and abuse her in any way he decided was fit because she was not a Muslim. And this was a normal, everyday Muslim guy. He was not a radical, foaming at the mouth terrorist. He was just a dude who immigrated over there. And that's my point. These aren't terrorists. They're not these radical murderers like we're told on TV and stuff. These are just normal people. And this is how they live. And this is how they want to make America and all of Western civilization. And they're well on their way to making the UK that way. And other countries. They suicide bombers and all this stuff, that's just run-of-the-mill stuff for them. Another point in Sharia law is no alcohol. None, period. No alcohol. No kind of drug or anything that alters your mind in any way. So probably aspirin and maybe some herbs, as long as they're not mind altering. No weed, no nothing. So I don't understand why, like Anheuser-Busch and all these big billion-dollar alcohol companies, beer companies and stuff, why they're not just campaigning against this Islam shit. If that shit spreads, they're going to lose massive amounts of money. I guess they'll just like the cigarette companies did in America, they'll just move their money into another industry, I guess. I don't know what the deal is there, but yeah, no alcohol at all. Zero. And all these other things like, for theft, your first offense, they cut your hand off. That's it. They cut your hand off. And again, you need so many Muslim witnesses to say that you didn't steal the thing. Second offense, they cut your foot off. All this stuff. Speaking out against Islam, punishable by death. They cut your head off if you criticize Islam in any way, shape, or form. They just cut your head off. It's that's why you see all those Christians over there. When you see those videos of Christians, they're just beheading Christians, and it's not terrorists beheading Christians. It's just them carrying out their justice, just like us over here. When somebody gets put in the electric chair for killing 14 people, but over there all you have to do is question or criticize Islam. You don't have to kill 14 people. A man is allowed to divorce his wife, but a woman is not allowed to divorce her husband unless he wants it, which is basically, the man can only divorce his wife, because if he says no, then she can't get a divorce. They're allowed to beat their wives, all this stuff. That's perfectly fine. It's just an upstanding citizen will go home and beat his wife, and she got to cover up her head anyway, so it doesn't matter. Just all that kind of stuff. There's a long list in this Sharia law, and a lot of it is just crazy I mean, literally, it's crazy. It's insanity. This stuff it's ancient and barbaric, and it's just somehow it's just clung, it's just stayed that way over there this whole time. So we've got to be aware of this stuff. This is the culture war I'm talking about. This culture, they're injecting this culture into Western society with massive immigration and through our educational system. So where we have born and bred American citizens out there burning the American flag and shouting for Sharia law. And they must not have any idea what Sharia law is, what it's about, because if they did, they wouldn't be shouting for it. They've been lied to by the Muslims who are required to lie to them by Sharia law. Right? And it's just crazy. And then the whole thing over there with the little boys too. They'll just having relations with the little boy is just commonplace over there. You see a man walking around with 2 or 3 kids, and they're just playthings, I guess. I watched an interview with a guy who'd been stationed over there, and he was talking about how just disgusted he was when he found out that, you know, that these men walking around with boys, they weren't the man's children, they weren't the man's son, they were sex toys, basically. It's just an open thing over there. That's just how they roll. So this is the kind of stuff we need to be aware of. We cannot let this shit take over the world. We just can't. I can't go to my grave knowing that I've not done anything to stop this insane, evil bullshit from taking over the world. I can't do it. Not going to do it. Not going to go hide my head in the sand and pretend this shit isn't happening. I'm not going to turn the other cheek and pretend that these politicians aren't pushing this shit into our society. I'm not going to pretend it's okay for some foreigner to rape little girls so nobody will call me a racist. I'm not going to. It's not okay. And every gay person, every black person, every Native American person, every Indian person, every Mexican person, Hispanic person with any common sense will stand with me. Because they know it's not about racism. It's not about any of that bullshit. It's about right and wrong. It's about good versus evil, period. We don't allow children to get raped. Especially to avoid being called a bad name like racist. I would have the whole world call me racist every day for the rest of my life if I could stop people from molesting children. I would live with that. Gladly. It wouldn't even be a question in my mind. They could shout at me as I go to work, shout at me on my way home from work, shout at me all day while I'm at work. I wouldn't give a shit if I knew that children weren't getting molested out there. If that was the price I had to pay, I would pay it gladly, willingly, in a split second. So call me a racist if you want, but this shit is evil and it needs to stop. And I'll leave you there with that. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and comment. If you'd like to support the channel by becoming a member, I'll leave that link down in the description, or you can head over to the channel page and become a member that way. If you'd like to support the channel directly, you can do so by clicking on that super thanks button there. Or you can head over to Buy Me a Cup of Coffee and buy me a cup of coffee. Thank you very much to those of you who do that, and I'll leave that link down in the description too. If you're interested in Gen X gear, you can head over to Redbubble and check out what we have over there. Pretty cool Gen X things and Gen X branded stuff. I'll leave that link down in the description as well. If you can't or don't want to support the channel in any of those ways, you can always do so by sharing these videos on your social media. And this is the kind of message that needs to be shared. We need to spread awareness about this Sharia law and this culture that's being injected into our society. People have to know this kind of stuff. what's actually going on, what's actually being done, and who is promoting it, who is standing aside to allow it to happen. And those of you who do share, thank you very much. It helps out a lot. I sincerely appreciate it. And if you have any ideas for future episodes of Gen X Thinks, please put those down in the comments, or you can head over to the channel page and email us from there. And as always, stay frosty, Gen X, and I'll see you on the next one.